Gatsby is full of complex symbols and events, but the symbolization of the green light, the car swap, and even the fact that Gatsby's funeral has a smaller attendance than a sketchy Chinese buffet were unable to perplex my mind more than the fact that anyone could ever love a girl like Daisy Buchanan. First of all, Daisy Buchanan has selfish thoughts. One of the only times she shows concern for someone besides herself is when she wishes her daughter would be a fool. That's the best thing a girl can be in this world, a beautiful little fool. Other than that, she really only cares about herself, which is expressed by her not caring about Gatsby and leaving for Tom in order to have an easier life. Next, she is considered to have a voice full of money. Gatsby said this in one part of the novel, and this could be a good or a bad thing. It could be good because it means that her, the things she say are valuable, and that she has charm in her voice. And it could be considered bad because wealth is in this book kind of considered to be negative because it leads to carelessness. Daisy is also filthy rich, which again is kind of a good and a bad thing. It's good because, who doesn't want to be rich? And then it's bad because, again, wealth is related to being careless. She also lives in East Egg, and she has old money. She also has a fickle heart, which is shown by the part of the book where it's like a flashback to her wedding day, and she receives pearls from Tom, and then she takes them off saying that she wants to call off the marriage, and then a little while later she puts them back on. And then she's like, just kidding, let's get married. Like, what, Daisy? My next question is, why does Gatsby love Daisy so much? First of all, when they first meet, Daisy is of a much higher social status than Gatsby, and after his experiences with Dan Cody, he was really interested in becoming a part of the social elite and become part of the wealthier classes. So this could have made him love Daisy more, just to kind of use her to raise his social status. Next, Daisy is extremely charming. Not only is she pretty, at least in the movie she's pretty, but also her voice is described as being full of money and being full of charm. Also, she's really rich, which is, again, sort of like the social status, but Gatsby is interested in being rich, and she's rich, so it's kind of a connection.
So basically, at this point, it's quite possible that Gatsby just likes Daisy for her money, which kind of makes sense.
He falls in love with her before he goes off to the war, and when he comes back from the war, he's still in love with her because she was his first love.
Not to mention that they lost more than just their hearts to one another, if you know what I mean.
Well, they say in the movie and in the book that she could never live up to the standards that Gatsby set for her because he kind of built her up in his mind when he was off to war because he really wanted to love her so much. But when he actually saw her and met with her when he returned from the war, she couldn't really live up to his expectations of what he remembered her as. Whatever the reason for Gatsby's love for Daisy, he obviously does love her, which is expressed by his throwing parties and buying a house across from the street from her, just to impress her.
Gatsby also takes blame for a crime that Daisy committed and ends up dying for it. Now that's love.
The next question is, who does Daisy really love? She meets Gatsby as when she's younger, but then at the end of the novel, she goes back and forth and finally decides to be with Tom. But let's be honest, there's no way she did not love Gatsby. You know this just from the way she talks about him. First, she freaks out about his gorgeous, beautiful shirts, but she's obviously not actually that concerned about the shirts. She's just hiding her regret for giving up with him and being with Tom and marrying Tom instead of him. Then she mentions that he always looks so cool, which again shows you that she obviously has feelings for him, and she's just sort of trying to hide them behind her words. She never really has anything positive to say about Tom, and she's actually kind of rude to him at times, which is understandable because he is having an affair with another girl, which adds to the pile of reasons why she obviously loves Gatsby and not Tom. It is clear that Daisy is not the most likable character in this novel, but she does play a huge role in it. The entire novel is focused around Gatsby trying to win her over and make things how they used to be. Also, you can't blame her for some of her attributes, since many of them are common in you and me. How many times have you fallen in and out of so-called love with a person or celebrity? How often do you put others' needs before your own? We are fickle, selfish, and careless people, a lot like Daisy. You also can't blame Fitzgerald for creating a character like Daisy. She's a fascinating character with an interesting love life. In fact, Nicholas Sparks showed interest in a similar type of character. The Notebook's Allie, like Daisy, falls in love with someone of a lower class, marries someone within her own class, but remains in love with the person of a lower class. So don't hate too much on Daisy. Despite her unlikable characteristics, she was somehow able to win the love of
the great Gatsby. Special thanks to my mom and my sister for videotaping, and of course, F. Scott Fitzgerald.